How'd you find out?
Well, I was actually playing golf, and I was at Mountain View, and I picked up my phone. My friend said, "You're the man," and then I was like, "Why would he say that?" And then I was like, "Wait a second," and then I hit menu on my phone, and my phone died. So I sprinted back to my car and plugged it in, and I had like 20 messages. I was just pumped. That's how I found out.
I think I saw your wife posted something about my husband's an Olympian.
Yeah.
So how did she find out? Was it you telling her, or did she find out separately?
No, my phone was dead for a while. I was actually like, I guess they had found out probably like an hour before, and I was just playing, and I wasn't checking my phone. I was trying to relax, and Coach Cody called her and was like, "So we're going to Rio," and then she was trying to call me too, I guess.
So a lot of people knew before you did.
Yeah, yeah. It was a great surprise, middle of the round.
What was that time span like? Because I mean, you go from third to then I'm sure that uncertainty, maybe thinking
Yeah.
it's,
It was tough. It was really tough, actually. I had to kind of refocus my perspective and, try to stay balanced. But I'd be honest, I didn't do a really good job of it. I was kind of just staring at the walls and wasn't really sleeping much. And I was just, I just kept praying. And I really believed that I was going to get it. But I didn't want to get my hopes up, But I also wanted to make sure that I believed it was going to happen. So it was just a really emotional, I would go from being really high to really low, trying to stay balanced, and I had really no stability through the whole process until I found out. Then I was obviously relieved.
and it was like what, like a 48-hour stretch?
Yeah, it was a lot faster than we anticipated. Right after I was trying to find out any information I could. I was Googling stuff. I was emailing people that might have known information already, and I couldn't really find anything. And then I talked to the coaches, and they gave me with the scenario, and me getting it was one of the scenarios out of a couple other ones, and 3 or 4 other people lobbied for it. And then we're saying probably a week until they confirm the drug test, and then a week or 2 until we find out. And I was going on vacation the next day, so I ended up finding out right before I went on vacation. It was perfect.
Where'd you go?
Florida,
Okay.
yeah, for 4 days.
Did you take a time to relax, or were you
Yes.
still working out down there?
I worked out one time. I just lifted one time when I was down there, but it was a good time spending time with my family and just golfing and fishing and relaxing.
What does this mean for your family? Not only your parents, but also I believe you have a son now, Frank?
Yeah, we have a son, and we'll have another son in August. So it's just, it's really special to be able to represent my family, to be able to represent Penn State wrestling, and to be able to represent God. It's just really, really, privilege, and just extremely grateful that I was given the opportunity, when it looked like it was over there. But, I'm just trying to just make sure that I stay focused on what I have left, but also enjoy the whole process of, becoming an Olympian and, moving forward throughout this whole journey up to Rio.
What's the training schedule like? Are you going to have to go out to Colorado at all, or?
Oh yeah, I mean I think I'm only in State College for probably 3 weeks for the rest of the summer. I'll go out to Colorado next 2 weeks. On Sunday, I'll have a week-long training camp, and then right from that training camp, I'll fly to California, and then I'll have the World Cup, wrestle 3 or 4 matches out there, fly home, and then I think I have a week or 2, maybe 10 days, and then I fly to Germany, wrestle in Germany, fly back from Germany, have a couple weeks, and then we'll fly out to Rio like a month early. So, and maybe there's one more training camp in there somewhere, something like that. Yeah, it'll be a lot of wrestling.
So you're down there for a month before the game.
We leave on the 2nd, and I think we get there on the 3rd, and then I don't wrestle until the 21st, I believe. So about 3 weeks of training, getting acclimated and stuff.
How does this impact your role as coach, both positively and negatively? I mean, being away from the team this summer as much as you just mentioned, but then also, it's a resume builder on the recruiting trail. I mean, how does that help that way?
I think it helps a lot, because all along this whole process, looking back to the beginning of the season, wrestling in Belarus and wrestling in the Pan American Championships, and wrestling in Turkey, Mongolia, it's just all really good experience. I was fortunate enough to have Coach Cody in Mongolia, and I think that we picked up some stuff out there, learned some stuff. And then we had Mark McKnight out in Turkey. We picked some more stuff up out there. So, as far as the team, I think the biggest part is just making sure that, I'm taking some of this stuff in and trying to learn as much as I can personally, so I can bring it back to these guys on the team. And we don't know who will be coming out to Rio yet, but there's a possibility it could be one of these guys. So if that is the case, then there's a good experience for them to really see what the highest level of wrestling is like. And I think the last piece of it is just kind of it's encouraging for them, because they work hard, and I'm right in here working hard with them every day, so that they see it is possible, that you can do it, and it kind of gives them that motivation to keep pursuing their goals.
And you were just here a few years ago too. I mean, you're not too far removed from where they are now.
Feels like it sometimes.
Go back to 2012 when you won that title. I mean, how does where you are now compared to then? I mean, you had to have assumed you were at the pinnacle of your career then. Where are you now?
It feels a lot better now. Right now I just have a lot of things outside of wrestling. My relationship with God, my family, my kids, the opportunity to coach, and I just think that my perspective is a lot different now. So it's a lot more enjoyable now. But reaching the pinnacle was a very rewarding and gratifying and satisfying moment for my career, because that was again started 4 years before, and it was a journey to get there, and there was a lot of ups and downs, and to kind of get it right at the end was very amazing feeling. And this was a little bit different because the journey was a little bit different, and the progression was a lot different. I made some really big jumps this year, and then there were some unexpected turns, and it was just kind of more involved in the process. When I was a senior, it was more, everything was a routine. It kind of just felt like work, and I wasn't as enjoying it as much as I am now.
What's Jordan Burroughs been like for you? Because obviously, what he's doing for the sport plus Jersey guys.
Yeah, he's I think he's a really good role model as far as work ethic, and just continuing to pursue excellence, even though he's could easily sit back and be happy about what he's accomplished, but he's always trying to get better, and he's also living the right lifestyle for kids. I appreciate that he's setting a good example for kids below him and kids that are going to be coming up through the system. So I look to that, and also how he doesn't really make having a family or coaching or doing the things that he also likes to do an excuse why he can't win. So those are all things that I kind of take away from him, but most importantly his work ethic and his drive and belief in himself.
And do you have any trepidation about going to Rio? I know some athletes with everything that's going on there.
No, not really. Yeah, we've kind of been all over now at this point, so it's all just an adventure.
And Frank, how long have you dreamed or visualized in the quest to be an Olympian?
Probably about 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, and I really kind of got this, on my heart that I wanted to do it, and I committed to it 100% the second I knew that this was something I was going to pursue. And it was hard, especially kind of in the beginning of this year. It was a very dark time because I wasn't really winning anything. I was having some injuries that were kind of lingering, and I just kept working and kept believing that something good was going to happen. And then Pan American Championships happened, and that was kind of the turning point for me. It was a really big win. I beat a guy who had tech-falled me a couple of years before. So moving from the Pan American Championships to now, I feel like it's just been a steady climb of getting better and visualizing, and the biggest thing is just focusing on exactly what I want. I think right now I'm in a place where I'm very clear on what I want to achieve, and I'm very clear on how I'm going to get there, and I'm just trying to stick to my game plan and keep getting better.
And as you have your last few weeks here, how do you reflect on how Penn State has been able to help you to get to this level?
Just the attitude, of the team, attitude of the guys on the team, attitude of the coaches, the principles that everybody is living here. And I just think that my last couple weeks here, I really want to enjoy spending my time around the guys, because I don't get to really be here a lot this summer, and I feel like I haven't really been around the last couple weeks. But it's always a comforting feeling when I get back in the room and I get to work out with the team and I get to be around these guys, because that's where my balance is. That's what's gotten me to the point I'm at now, and that's what'll continue to push me through the rest of my career. So just kind of enjoying my time here and being around these guys.
Frank, there was a time in Turkey you get knocked out. You think the dream is over. Then the whispers start, and Burnett comes over and says, "Hey, listen, you've got to wrestle back and take the bronze just in case. How important was Cody in the process of getting you back to where your mind needed to be?
Yeah, I think that was probably like a defining moment in my life. I mean, after that happened, I was crushed. I was just completely broken. I can't really even describe the feeling. I have never really felt that before. I've always been able to kind of come out in those moments where it really mattered, and that was the first time that I really kind of fell short. And I was, they were just kind of, they know how it goes, so they were sitting by me and just kind of being there, without saying anything, because there's not much that they could have said to me that would have changed anything. But then I went to the back room, and I was laying down, and I was crying for 45 minutes, and Coach came up to me, and he's, and at this point I hadn't even thought about wrestling again. I don't even know why. I was just kind of thinking about how I just didn't win. And he said, I love you, kid, but if you have any chance of qualifying, you got to get up and win these 2 matches. And you got Belarus and Kazakhstan.
And that's Burnett talking now.
Yeah, that was Burnett talking. And, then I said, whoa. I said, taking my shoes off when he's telling me this. So I'm like, all right, I'll put my shoes back on. He goes, yeah, hustle up too. You're on deck. And I was like, and I don't know, just not to sound dramatic, but at the time I kind of felt like I couldn't even stand up. I couldn't even stand up and walk back to the place that we were sitting. And then I got my stuff back on, and Coach Cody, just kind of reminded me of, that I was tough and I've trained hard, and that I would be fine. And he kind of just, the biggest thing was just being there for me and knowing that they felt the same pain that I felt, and they felt, they knew how bad I wanted it, and they were, right there in the thick of it the whole week, making sure that I got everything I needed, making sure that, the mindset was right where I needed it. So, that was very comforting to have that.
And was the first match back or the second match back where the one that was kind of a brawl?
That was the second one. The first one was kind of tough too. There was just a lot of blood time in the first one and a lot of breaks. It was kind of a tricky match that, I didn't want to wrestle. Then I was bleeding, so we were trying to, close my cuts up so we can keep him out on the mat. So, and he had a lead for probably 3 or 4 minutes of the match, so that was a little bit stressful of a match too. And then the one for bronze, that was the Belarusian, and that was kind of just a fist fight for bronze. It was probably the ugliest wrestling match I've
But
ever
you know that
been.
about him going in, right?
Yeah, I knew.
I mean, does that take you back to your, not to be cliche, but your Jersey roots and the brawler that you've always been?
Yeah, that's the kind of match I want to wrestle any day of the week. So, everybody, kind of knows that guy has a reputation and he's dirty, and, he scratched my eyeballs and he was headbutting me and doing everything he could. But, I kind of needed that match, especially at where I was at mentally and physically. So, I think his biggest mistake was getting me fired up because, I like to wrestle those matches any day.
Frank, let's fast forward to the opening days. Obviously, you can't put it into words now, but if you had to picture it, having that USA uniform on and, walking into the stadium for the opening ceremony.
I think it's going to be just pretty incredible. Just kind of, thinking about how hard it was to get to this point, how much hard work it took, and how many, obstacles I had to climb, and how many times I had to, bounce back from failure and all those moments. So I think, really just going to be excited and just grateful and really excited to wrestle. I just really love competing now, and I'm in a really good place mentally for preparation, and I feel like I'm really starting to figure out, what works for me and my system. So just getting out there and competing and wrestling the best guys in the world, because my weight class is so loaded. It's probably the deepest weight class out there, and I know every single match is going to be hard. There's nobody in the weight class that you could draw that would be an easy draw. So, just being able to wrestle the best guys in the world is just is a great feeling.
Frank, there's a few recruits coming in this summer who will have some Olympic aspirations as well.
Mm-hmm.
What does this do for the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club in furthering the reputation that this does produce Olympians, does produce world champs? In your opinion, what does that do for the recruits coming in, future recruits, even current wrestlers on the team?
I think it just shows, how big the pedigree is for Penn State wrestling. You look at this year, we won, NLWC won the cup. They give out an award at the trials for whichever team has the most place winners. And that's going up against Titan Mercury Wrestling Club, where they have multiple wrestlers in there. So we won that the last 2 years. We have 2 Olympians this year, Franklin Gomez as well. You know, we have 3 or 4 guys on the national team. You know, we have 3 or 4 guys that are wrestling for the junior world team. You know, we have 3 Olympic champs in the room today. Probably, I don't know, seven national champs or something. So, you know, it just gives them a level of success to chase. You know, it's not like they're coming in and the expectation is to be an All-American. You know, at some programs that is the expectation, and there's nothing wrong with that, but here the expectation is to be the best that you could possibly be. And, you know, we have a lot of good role models around here, and I think that when guys come in here with big dreams, they know it's possible. You know, it was encouraging when Yonemitsu came in here this year for me, being that he was the 66 2012 Olympic champ. You know, and just kind of seeing how Yona lived his life, and, you know, his humility and his work ethic and his competitive nature, you know, and just kind of being around him was very helpful for me, being around that guy, because it just shows you that anybody can do it.
Like what personality traits does he have that kind of stands out?
Just very consistent, you know, very balanced, works very hard, he's super competitive, you know, and he's just an average guy. There's nothing crazy about his wrestling. You know, he's got some really good stuff that he does, but, you know, there's no difference between, you know, the way he wrestles and some other guys. But the difference, I think, the main thing is consistency and just belief.
You work out with him quite a bit this past year?
Yeah, I've gotten to work out with him some good times. We've had some other foreigners in here too. We had last year's silver world medalists in here as well. So, you know, that's another thing for guys that are coming in here and kids that have Olympic aspirations, is they're always going to have the best partners. And I think at the end of the day, the most important thing is your training partners. You know, obviously the environment, you know, you're a product of your environment, but, you know, you're a product of your training partners, and these kids are going to have the best training partners in the world, really. I mean, the best, certainly the best in the country and some of the best in the world. So.
Frank, there's the one image of Rio is the giant statue of Jesus, up on the mountain.
Yeah.
And probably the one difference we see in you is your professed open faith to God. Have you ever thought about the symbolism of the two coming together?
Yeah.
Going to Rio?
Yeah, you know, especially like, you know, when I first came to Christ and, you know, kind of changed my life around, and then, you know, just realizing, you know, the monument in Rio and kind of what it would be like to compete there and just be there, you know, and, you know, I just felt like it was going to happen, you know, and I just felt like everything was coming together, my faith, my relationship with God, and you know, giving my testimony 4 or 5 days at my church before I left, you know, that was pretty emotional week, you know, to have the week before the trial. So I think everything was kind of happening for a purpose, and I still believe that everything has happened for a purpose. And, you know, just when I go out in Rio, I think God will continue to write the story.
And you were saying about golf earlier. What kind of golfer are you? Any good? Or
I'm getting better.
Yeah.
I'm getting better. I tease my wife and tell her that I'm going to be on the web tour someday, but she's not buying it. She's not buying it.
Did you finish the round?
I did not,
No.
and I had 4 pars in a row.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I did. At 4 pars in a row, I hadn't picked my phone up for probably an hour because of it, but got to play some golf in Florida, so it was fun.
You had said about baby number 2. He's
Yeah.
due in August.
Yeah, my wife will be full term 2 weeks before, or 2.5 weeks before Rio. So, I mean, we had our first son 2 weeks early, so there's a possibility that she could still have the baby, and, you know, we'll have family up here, so she could possibly go. But, you know, it's all kind of just waiting it out and seeing what happens.
Interesting timing.
Interesting timing. Very interesting timing.